Hey everybody, my name is Josh. Thanks for coming back and looking at this video with your eyeballs. I don't know if you noticed something, but I've got a cool shirt that I made today. People have been asking, what does chachi mean? And for me, it means douchebag, sort of ishness. You're a douchiness. Chachi is like, really? You really did that? You really just gave up your kid that you adopted and just gave them back? It's chachi? So I made these shirts and people are like, can I get one? I'm like, I just made it. So I don't know if you knew this, but I played in a band back in the day. It was like a hard rock, metal, pop rock band, and we did some screaming, and so I had to teach myself how to make shirts. So I thought, I'm gonna make my own shirt. If you want this shirt, comment below, and I will get this shirt to you. You know what? I'm not sure how much they would cost. Probably like $15 or $20. I don't know. Maybe we can make a few shirts and give them out and talk, and people can spread the word about not being chachi. And they can ask what chachi is, and you can open up conversation about, hey, did you know that chachi is when you do something super douchey? And you know how you shouldn't watch people's channels because of what they've done. We're going to talk today a little bit about that. And I know we're going to get people like, oh, you keep talking about these guys. Well, you guys keep listening and you keep commenting. And so I'm going to continue to talk about it because clearly this is something important to you. There is a movement happening right now, and I don't want to not talk about it, about influencers and influencer families in general who are literally being shut down. There's a ton of influencer families out there watching everything that's going on YouTube right now. Every Stauffer video that's been hit out, every 8-passenger video that's going out there, people are watching and they're listening. So maybe this is a chance to say, don't be chachi to be awesome. And so there's ways you can do that. But today I want to talk specifically about the dads. And because I've got a few comments as well about, wow, you're laying into these moms pretty hard about their parenting and blah, blah, blah. And so what about the dads? They're complicit, right? Yeah, they are absolutely complicit. So I want to talk about how complicit they are. And I think as a parent, it's a 50-50 draw all the way through, no matter what, depending on what happens, right? So with the Stauffers giving up their rehoming their adopted son was probably an issue they had to go through. I'm sure James Stauffer, who also runs Stauffer's Garage, by the way, if you didn't know that, that's a channel that he runs. And so do what you want with that information. These dads are complicit, but you know what I'm going to say might not be what you want to hear. I don't know, maybe it will be. I don't know, but I'm trying to be balanced, and I really do try to be balanced in the way that I talk to you and the way that I put out my opinion, because this is how my brain works, and I kind of go back and forth, and sometimes I change my mind like halfway through, and I'm like, oh, I was wrong, and then I go. And sometimes somebody points out something, and I'm wrong, and I'm cool with being wrong. You know what? If you're never cool with being wrong or learning, then you're just kind of chachi. I'm just, maybe not, but if you're so stubborn you can't be wrong ever, that's kind of where we are right now on like Twitter and stuff like that. Nobody can ever be wrong about anything. And so my truth is the truth overall, and you should believe my truth or it's violence. That's another thing. Anyway, I'm sorry. So how complicit are the dads? And I'm only going to talk about 8-passengers and Stauffers for now, because I am going to start digging into other YouTube families and just kind of figuring out kind of how these things tick, how they work, how they pick up, and why they're so popular, right? Half of the reason is just because people like shiny, happy, pretty things, and they like watching other people do that stuff. I don't know, they pass time. People like watching other people's lives. People, you know what? Have you ever just sat somewhere where people are working? Like my neighbors were pouring concrete the other day for their pool, and I loved just sitting there watching them work. I was like, this is actually kind of relaxing. You watch these guys on YouTube building mansions out of dirt underground, and you're like, I love watching this. You love people and you love watching their lives. And is there something wrong with that? I don't think so. I think if that entertains you, if you learn something, if you gain something from it, or not, if you just want to veg out, that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with these channels. It's the exploitation is what gets a lot of people, right? So how complicit are the dads? Let's get to it. So James Stauffer is super complicit in all this. I don't know all the history, and so I know people are going to be like, you should know everything. I don't know everything about this guy, okay? But I know he has a channel that has close to 1 million subscribers. It would take me literally days to go through every video and every minute detail, and it's so involved, and it's just I don't want to give them the views, to be honest with you. So I will watch a few videos here and there, and every time I watch them, I'm like, I don't want to watch this, because I just keep being right about my feelings about them. Nothing is redeeming at this point. So he had this channel, and I'm not sure if he started the Stauffer Garage after the other stuff happened, but they kind of got together, and maybe they became one YouTube, like Voltron. These YouTube people came together and formed a super YouTube channel. He makes a lot of money. So now that I'm monetized on YouTube and I understand how this works, they make a lot of money, okay? And I was actually kind of surprised at the amount of money people can make, depending on how long their videos are and how long you watch them and all that stuff. It's super involved, and there's no one right answer about what you make. But if people are watching your videos for longer than 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, you're making good money, I promise. James and Micah Stauffer, are absolutely making a killing just on the Stauffer Garage. They could shut down their other channels completely, be forgotten into the abyss of family vloggers, and still make lots and lots and lots of money. One of his videos has 20 million views of him cleaning a vehicle. I say all that to say, how complicit are dads in these channels? So it's not enough to have a channel that makes you tons of money. Okay, let's go into another channel. Let's do this other thing. So let's do more videos and expose more things. So he gets into this, and I'm sure she really wanted this. And this is why you're not going to like what I have to say here. Dads are complicit, but not as complicit as these moms in these videos, because clearly it's all about them. Remember the narcissism we talked about of all these other videos? These women are super, super narcissistic. They're super attractive, for one, which, good. There's nothing wrong with being attractive. It's great. But when your whole life you're kind of attractive and you attract people, I don't know this because I'm not attractive and I've never been attractive and not my whole life, but I think kind of you have an easier life. We talked about this last video where you have this privilege of good-looking privilege. And if you don't think good-looking privilege exists over all the other privileges, it absolutely exists. And so the dads are super complicit, obviously, because they enable this. They are in a couple of the videos. Nobody really wants to watch the dads, to be honest with you. I bet you if you had a glimpse at their analytics, it's about 99.89% women who are not there for their husbands. They're there to watch these women and do their thing. Micah is a little bit more on the, let's say this nicely. She definitely like, look at me, boo, look at these outfits I'm going to show you on while you're sitting on the bed, and I'm boom, look at me, boom, 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 boom. And so the other mom there, what's her face from eight Passengers, not as showy, but she's very attractive, and she's got the fake eyelashes, the makeup, and everything else. So the well put togetherness is obviously on purpose. But again, let's go back to the dads. So James and this other dude, I forget his name, Chuck or Barney or whatever his name is from 8 Passengers. Apparently he makes his own bank. He's a pretty big deal somewhere else. And I just hear these secondhand things and I hear them all over the place. But so the dads are complicit because they enable, right? And they let this happen and they don't step in. And so that's where the parenting kind of like, if you see something kind of happening on YouTube and especially for the 8 Passenger side, where she's getting some heat and then she came on Instagram and said, I'm hearing what you guys are saying and I'm deleting your comments, but I'm listening. She basically just said, you guys don't tell me what to do. And if you think about parenting out there, they're not the worst parents in the world, okay? Their kids are healthy, they're happy, but they do exploit their kids. And so people just see that and they can comment, and that's why I comment. I'm not saying that they're evil at all. I just think that narcissism kind of breeds people to like want to be like, ugh. So this is kind of why this thing is so heated and so popular and people are listening and tuning into this. This is a movement right now that you cannot ignore. So James had the channel. He makes bank on the channel. Then they start the other one, which doesn't have as many subscribers, but I'm pretty sure it makes more money. And I guess they did another one called Cash Crush, where they talked about how one of their videos made them $43,000. Because let's break this down for a second, okay? $43,000 is a salary to a lot of people. They did that with one video, which is basically passive. You upload it and you let the count and the money roll in. You don't do anything else. Once you have that many subscribers, it kind of just happens. I have something like 11,000 subscribers, and I started talking about the Micah Stauffer situation with 900 followers, and this exploded. And so the audience that you have, if you hone into what they're looking for, they'll ingest it. Right? For me, I'm hoping my audience wants honest conversation from a balanced perspective on some stuff that's going on. Not necessarily always about the Stauffers or about this, but this is what's going on right now. This is a big, big deal. There is a YouTube revolution going on right now where people are just kind of feeling icky about watching all these people and their families. And so maybe what happened was there's too many piled on. And that'd become, again, it just too much sweetness, too much going on. And then people are like, oh, and then people start tuning into it more and understanding, oh, this is gross. I don't like this anymore. So what do you do after you're canceled, right? What happens after you're canceled? I don't even know. I'd love to be a fly in the wall at the Stauffer's residence right now and all the things that are going on with them, because man, it has gotten way worse since my first video. Okay. James's channel hasn't really suffered, and so that's why I kind of want to talk about the dad thing. I don't want them to suffer, okay? Some people will say, yeah, well, I do, and so you're justified in that. That's fine. But I don't want that. But I also want to talk about why, if everybody's so outraged, why are the followers not outraged? Right? So why are the people that are following them still watching their videos and still doing it, even though they understand what's going on? Are you complicit if you're a fan and you stand up for people who do bad things, or as we perceive, as the whole world perceives as a bad thing? Are you a bad person? I don't think you're a bad person, but again, it's your choice what you do with your social media currency. Take it out of your wallet, give a view, give a like. That's what you do with it. That's what you got to do with it. And so again, I do think there is a YouTube revolution going on right now where people are going to be just shut down eventually, and just people, and it's not necessarily it's about an anger flare up and then like, oh, unsubscribe. It's just going to be like this big hit, this cancellation sort of thing. And then people are just going to start not watching. And then those people will fade into obscurity while someone else takes their place. It's kind of just how it works. But these family things, once they started getting popular, I wanted to do one. If you look back early in my channel, I actually wanted to do one of these. I thought, hey, this seems really cool. Let's do that. I think we have a cool family that people would want to hang out with. And then I'm starting to realize, oh, it's just so super flooded. Plus, I don't really feel comfortable exploiting my children for views. Tyson was on the show the other day. You guys liked Tyson. His shirt was definitely ugly. He appreciates your comments, but he knows you're all lying. Do you think Ruby from 8 Passengers is like, thinks that this money belongs to her because this is her hard work, her video production, her grabbing the content wherever she can? Do you actually think, or do you think, and maybe they do, because maybe they're wealthy enough to say, well, we're going to put away a percentage of each of our monetary gains for our kids. Maybe they do. I don't know, but if you watch their videos, apparently these kids pay for everything on their own, and so they get like, they don't get anything. Like, as much as they have, these parents are like, they're like, you know. So again, I keep wanting to go back to the dads, but there's not really much to say because those guys aren't really on here. And a lot of times when they're on here, they're really just sitting with their wives in a bed because something went wrong, and they're just backing them up with a hand pat. Right? When Ruby sent Chad to this camp, and we're going to get into that maybe a little bit later in another episode, but when Ruby sent Chad to this camp, they had to get on a video and say, well, just like the Stauffers did, and said, well, you notice that he's gone. Apparently people in the town thought he was dead. They didn't know what happened. So the only time the husbands really need to get on this thing is when they need to like put out a fire. Like, look at the Stauffers when James came on and talked about when they put Huxley to bed early because then they have family time, because Huxley needs more attention. And so he gets all the attention during the day. So we put him to bed early so we can hang out with our real family. That was definitely Chach, right? That, you know, it was Chachi for him to say that. And so you find these dads coming on these channels when it's like time to put out a fire. Not so much 8 Passengers, I'm not sure, because I haven't dug so much into their videos, but that's kind of what I'm seeing the overarching theme here is that the dads are kind of just in the background. They're not the reason people watching the channel. 8 Passengers has Chad, okay? And so if you notice it, all her biggest videos are Chad. So she exploits Chad for most of her videos. But Chad also is the one who gets most of the heat. He gets, like, if you think about it, like this kid is going to grow up pretty YouTube famous, and it's not going to be good for him. He's a Mormon who grows up in a fundamental Mormon home, who's about to leave the house maybe 2 to 3 years. This kid is going off the rails. Also, Chad, if you're watching this, and you're probably not watching this, Tyson has a clothing company called Never Forever, and we heard that you have to buy your own clothes. Tyson will be happy to send you some of his really cool designs and some sweaters and some t-shirts. You just reach out to him or reach out to me. We will happy to send you some stuff. Tyson thinks you're a pretty cool dude. If you need a friend, Tyson's here for you. Tyson's a good kid. Anyway, so the complicity on a percentage level, especially for the Stauffers, is James is probably closer to 40% because of this whole, their situation was way worse than 8 Passengers. Okay, way worse as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of people are saying I got it wrong, that they thought that Micah was the one that wanted him gone and James didn't want him gone. But I still kind of stand by my gut in the whole, he was just trying to be supportive, but just in the end was like, we got to do this. And Micah was probably like, yeah, maybe we do. And then they probably had a fight about it, and they probably just went back and forth, and and this finally decided this was because I can't imagine a doctor saying, would be beneficial for that child that you adopted, who came out of a foster care system in another country, brought over here, doesn't speak your language. It'd be cool if you just rehomed him. That sounds like here, let me just write a script for you. Rehome your adopted son from China. No. Okay. So he's way more complicit in this whole situation, this whole debacle, this whole failure, the whole cancellation of the Stauffer family, fortune and kingdom of the Stauffers. But this other dude, I forget his name. I don't even want to know, Chuck or Barry or Brent or whatever his name is from 8 Passengers. He's a wallflower. Something tells me he works during the day, so he's hardly ever there. And then when they do things together, she probably has to force him to do it. He probably doesn't want to do it. And kind of icky, where you feel like where these moms are kind of just like, we need content, and they're texting their husband, today we're gonna do a video about this and we're gonna be this, and you know the husband is like, ugh. Now I know I keep talking about these people because it just keeps coming up in every view that I get, and every comment that I get is another just like conversation to be had about where this goes next. You know, again, I would love to be a fly in the wall of these families' houses. What do you do in this type of crisis? At this point, do you pack it in and do you say, okay, we're going to pack this thing in. We're going to be, but you can't, because if you put your whole life on YouTube and this is where you make all of your money, you don't really have a choice. And so if you put all of your eggs in the YouTube basket and expect it to just be always paying, you're going to be set up to fail, because eventually you're going to just die off anyway, right? So I'm sorry to really talk much about the husbands on this whole thing, but again, I just don't think they're as complicit, because they just weren't as involved unless it actually came down to a big thing, right? They had to go pick up their son from the camp they sent him off to for 2 months, where he hurt himself. And if you actually watch the 8-passenger video where they went to hug him, that kid was broken. Like, he missed his parents. Like that kid was broken. I don't know if that makes your heart happy and sad, I guess. It's like in these military reunions and stuff like that. It's just, that hurts, because they sent him off because he did something, whatever it was, girls or texting or whatever, I don't know. But again, I'm not going to say that they were wrong or right about that, because we don't know the whole issue. If you have a really big problem child in your house that's causing a lot of dissension, it's causing a lot of issues in your marriage and your other kids, you do have to address it. So let's be there. Let's sit there together, because unless we know the whole story completely, which we're never going to know, because they only put out what they want to put out, so it makes them look good, right? But maybe they were just a little bit hard on their kids, but lots of people are hard on their kids. Lots of people are way worse on their kids than these. Lots of people abandon their children, and a lot of people hit their kids. A lot of people abuse their children. So these people, on the end, they have low level abuse. Yes, there's a lot going on, and I will kind of take back what I said about the lunch thing. Apparently, it was more than one. It was like a lot, where this 5-year-old didn't make her lunch. I thought it was just one day she missed her lunch, and it was like, oh, okay, not a big deal. But you're right. This woman should be making her kids lunch. She should not. That was crazy. And to stick up to stand up for that was dumb. And I was wrong with that. This kid needs to be. I just hope she comes out better than now. That's all I can say about that. So again, I'm really sorry about not really talking about the dads as much. But if you like that, you like it. If you don't, I'm sure you're gonna tell me in the comments, because I love listening and reading, responding to all your comments. If you want one of these shirts, just let me know. I will figure out a way to get you the cheapest way possible, because I think it's cool. It can start a conversation. What does that mean? Well, here's what chachi means. So let's start a movement of not chachiness. So if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe or like, or don't. I don't really care. I just want to keep talking, because you guys are my therapy, and I love hanging out with you. Thanks for listening, guys. And if you have any more comments, I think I'm going to tap into another video soon about the ramifications of cancel culture for these families and what it actually means, and try to really get into maybe the real psychology of what it means to put all your eggs in one basket, and what happens when you are canceled. Maybe we'll look back at some other people that have been canceled and look where they are now. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll do some stuff. You know me. We'll do some stuff. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we will talk probably tomorrow, or a day like tomorrow or something. I think I'm going to do a video tomorrow that's going to be funny. Maybe we'll do that.